Today I am learning about throwing and catching so that I can work on overhand and underhand throwing. I'll know I've got it when I can use all the correct mechanics when throwing.
Hey guys, Coach Shapley here again. I'm here to talk to you about underhand throwing. We have an underhand throwing skills poster that I'm about to show you here in a second. It has different components. There is a throwing section and then there is a catching section, because usually with throwing you have to catch it or receive it. So we're going to break those up and what those mean. Okay? If you look at the throwing section, you'll notice it has four mechanics. And mechanics is just a fancy word for different components, different things that go together to create the correct movement. Okay? The very first one talks about belly to target. What does that mean? It means it wants your belly button pointing to your target. Your target is where you were throwing it. So if I'm throwing to the camera, my belly button's face is pointed to the camera. If I'm throwing this way, then my belly button is facing the direction I'm throwing. Or if I have a partner, it's facing my partner. The reason we don't say face your target is because it's kind of confusing for some people. Some people think they can face their body anyway and they turn their head and face their target, they're correct. This would be incorrect. Okay? So belly to target means your whole body has to face your target. The second one talks about low arm swing back. Okay, the first part of it is your arm has to stay low for underhand tossing because it comes from underneath. And then your arm has to swing straight back. A lot of you, what you do, you swing back crooked. And that's not straight back. So when you go back, you need to go straight back behind you. Okay? Straight back. Low arm, swing back. Now, the next component, or the next mechanic, it says step with the opposite foot. Now, what does opposite mean? I will explain. If you were using this hand, you will step with the opposite foot. The foot that is on the opposite side of your body. If I'm throwing with this hand, I will step with this foot, the foot that's on the opposite side of my body. The one thing we do not want to do is step with the same foot. That means right arm, right leg, or left arm, left leg. Okay? Now, here's another question. You're going to say, Coach, which hand do I use? Well, you could use both, and you can, not obviously at the same time, but you can use either or, right or left. You just have to make sure you step with the appropriate foot, or the opposite foot. Now, what I like to tell you is if you don't know which hand to use, you need to use the hand that you write with. That means whatever I use a pencil, crayon, colored pencil with, that's the hand that I'm going to hold the ball with. So, for example, this is the hand that Coach Shapley writes with. This is the hand that the ball is going to be in, and this is the hand that I'm going to throw with. Therefore, I'm going to step with my left foot. That doesn't mean that you can't practice the other way. However, I need you to get good with what we call your dominant hand. That's the hand that you use most of the time. That's your writing hand usually. Okay? Next one says follow through. You will see follow through in a lot of our skills posters. Follow through just means don't stop your movement until you've over-exaggerated it. So what that means is if I'm throwing the ball, let's go back through belly to target because I'm throwing to the camera. Low arm, swing back. I'm using this arm, so I step with the opposite foot. Follow through means when I let go of the ball and it takes off, don't stop your hand. Let your hand continue to move. So following through means to continue. Pretend you still have the ball in your hand and you're still throwing. Okay? Don't just stop your arm. This is follow through. Okay? So really quickly, if I put that all together, belly to target, low arm, swing back, step with the opposite foot, follow through. Okay? That is underhand throw. Now, if we look at the second component underneath, it says catching. Now, catching, this is kind of very generic because it depends on what you're catching. If I'm just catching a ball or a scarf or a yarn ball or something like that, I need to keep my eyes on the target. Your target would be the ball that's moving. So I'm going to keep my eyes on the tennis ball as it's falling. The second component says reach and grasp. What we're trying to get you to understand is we want you to reach out and we want you to grasp it with your hands. Okay, so that means if the ball is out here, I want you to reach out with your hands and catch with your hands. Now, that's not always true. If you're catching a big, kickball, then you're not going to use your hands, you're probably going to use your whole arms. But if I'm catching a tiny tennis ball, I don't want to use my whole arms because I'm probably not going to catch it. Okay, so that's the reach and grasp part. The last two are just good key things to remember whenever you're catching the ball. If it says a high ball, we want your thumbs together. That means it's above your head and it's high. Thumbs together. The next one says low ball, and it means pinkies together. So what it wants you to do is it wants you to turn them over so your pinkies are together, because this is how you catch a low ball. What we're trying to get you to do is know that you have to turn your hands over. Don't get them confused. Some people want to catch with their thumbs together down here, and some people want to catch with their pinkies together up here. This would not make you very successful. I'm not saying you can't catch it once or twice, but it's not going to be in the long run. You're not going to make as many catches. Okay? Catching, in order to get better, you just have to practice catching more. Okay? The more you practice catching, the better you will get. You just learn how to get your hands out, to grasp it with your hands, and you learn that hand-eye coordination, as we call it. This is underhand throwing.